Rodriguez is real race talk from Texas. It's the Revved Up Sports Show. Here's Bobby Chaffee and Rodney Rodriguez.
Yes, social distancing at its best. The Revved Up Sports Show coming to you on a special Thursday night edition. As we get ready to have just a little bit of fun, you know, everybody's ready to get out and about and just do anything. So they told Bobby and I that we should probably stay away from each other. 6 foot thing there, but actually, Bobby, you know, we were together Monday, and that's when they dropped the hammer. But anyway, it's all good. It's all good. We figure out ways to make it work, and this is the first ever hashtag Real Race Talk where we've tried the video thing. So hopefully we stay with you the whole time, which I think we will.
I think we'll be all right. Although not only did we get grief from our listeners and the watchers, we also got grief from a lot of other people. So like you said, it was just considerably easier to try to keep this, especially with all the stuff in the news about the stay in place and all of that. So yeah, we're rule breakers, but sometimes even we got to follow the rules sometimes.
So better to do as we're told, and that's exactly what we'll be doing here for the foreseeable future. But thank goodness we have technology, and there's ways to make this work. But hey, it's a special edition. Let's go to the hotline because we're doing this because when you have the opportunity to get one of our favorite people that comes on the show, and every time that she takes a jump onto this program is when everything is a lot of people watching and listening, and we're super excited once again going to the Revved Up Sports Show hotline. It is, as we say, the one and only Jacqueline Drake. Jacqueline, how you doing?
Hey guys, thanks for having me back on.
Absolutely. Super excited to have you with us. So how are you dealing with all of this mess?
Yeah, you know, I'd say dealing with it pretty well, considering the circumstance. You know, North Carolina was about a week ahead of kind of where Texas is as far as when they started kind of locking down everything and determining what they needed to do. You know, we have a county, not the county I live in, but a county right next to mine that's actually, you know, on that stay at home orders. And I know some counties that in Texas just recently started doing that yesterday. Yeah. But things are crazy. It's a ghost town. No traffic or anything if you do go out, and just nothing on the shelves of the grocery stores. I think now the grocery stores are starting just to put less on the shelves and like backstocking it. Yeah. Because people have been mass buying items. I know like the Target right by my house has signs now, like you can't buy more than 2 meat items on one visit. So, yeah, it's been a little crazy to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely been a different time, I think, than we're used to. Bobby, go ahead, man. Sorry.
No, that's right. So, Jacqueline, what's the overall feel in North Carolina? Obviously, with a lot of the race shops, some of those race shops actually, you know, the way that they stay open is the money that they get from the winnings and stuff. So what's the vibe over there? I mean, is everybody just kind of hunkered down and hoping that everything will kind of run its course and go from there?
I can't actually hear Bobby talking, so it might be something with Zoom.
Yeah, it could be. So we'll work with that. What he was asking was, what's the overall feel there in North Carolina with like race shops and all of that having to close down? How is that affecting the kind of the mindset there?
Yeah, so I've seen a variation of race shops kind of approaching this. You have some people that are on paid leave, some people that are actually still going into the shops, which I don't know how much longer that's going to last. Yeah. But if it's like a small shop, they have just a few guys. And then we have, of course, people that are laid off. Some of the smaller cup teams, you know, they are really go race by race. And they can't, you know, keep these guys employed without racing. So all different ranges there. It's And then, just, I think it was 2 days ago, NASCAR announced all the officials, employees through NASCAR and ISM were going to be getting pay cuts. So
Wow.
you definitely feel it in this area, especially because at the end of the day, like a sport is non-essential, right? Like we don't need it, and it's definitely eye-opening.
Yeah, well, they say we don't need it, but those of us in the know that we do kind of need it. But I know exactly what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah. All right, try it again, Bobby. Made one quick fix there. Let's see if that's going to take care of that.
Actually, you stole my thunder already on that. But in terms of some of the race teams, what's the feeling like? Are they a lot of them going to be able to stay open afterwards, or is it still going to be a wait and see what happens after Martinsville?
Yay, I can hear you. Hi, Bobby.
Yay. Yay.
I think that right now it's too soon for people to make that decision if, they can't stay open any longer. We're still underneath the 30 days as far as how long they've been forced to, quote unquote, close and obviously all the races that got canceled. But I think we're going to see if this is, when this is even goes back into season. I think we're going to find out the true tale of who could survive this. I think they're still unraveling that. So I haven't heard of anybody saying, hey, we're not going to open or we're like completely shutting their doors. I think right now they're just trying to, liquidate in a way to try to survive through this. And I'm seeing that too with even like local businesses, all that they can do. There was an article that came out today about Texas Roadhouse, where the CEO said he was going to give his salary and bonus incentives to all the employees instead of cutting people. And I thought that was tremendous because you just don't see that in large companies anymore.
Yeah, I saw that as well. That was a huge thing there, and I mean you applaud them for that. It's definitely a great thing. So I know, Jacqueline, here, and of course here in Texas we're kind of our own little people over here. Are people abiding to what they should be doing? I know here in the Austin area, there were folks that were heading out to Barton Springs and congregating out there, even though they shouldn't be doing it. Though, is everybody being cognizant to what's going on there?
I would say they are, but again, where I live in North Carolina, I feel like you see a lot of that, like near the beaches and near kind of tourist areas.
Yeah.
Here where I'm at, like we have the race shops, but they kind of cut all those to where you can't visit, you can't come in the shops, so it's going to limit people coming to this area if they want to visit the shops.
Yeah.
Now, on another note, we do still have teams that are going out and testing. They're very conscious of how many people they're bringing with them, obviously, but they are going out and testing for whenever race season does get started back up.
Yeah.
And some of these teams need to be testing to have some type of income or to fulfill like their, contract obligations. Yeah. Because once this gets started, there's really not going to be any time. If you think about all the races they're going to try to cram together.
Yeah. I mean, and IndyCar made the move today where they jumped in there and cut all of that down. But we'll talk about that here in a second. Sorry, Bobby. Sorry to keep cutting you off. I'm used to nudging you in the shoulder when you're next to me.
It's all right. You're just excited because Jacqueline's on. I am too.
Well,
so
yeah.
Jacqueline, let's talk.
There is that.
Let's talk about it from the Cars Tour perspective. What's the general mindset over there? Obviously, some of these guys don't have the multi-million-dollar setups that some of the Cup teams do, but in terms of what they're able to do, it seems like whether or not you're a Cup team or you're a small Cars Tour team, everybody's kind of seeming like they got the same problems, just a different amount of zeros.
Yeah, so on a series perspective, we had 2 races that we've canceled thus far. We had Hickory Motor Speedway that was supposed to be last weekend, and then we had our big late model stock, the 30,000 a win that was coming up. Actually my birthday weekend, so I have no plans. But coming up in next weekend in April. So, for a series perspective, we've already spent money on advertising. We have contracts too with these tracks, with sponsors, and really what the Cars Tour kind of decided was, hey, we're going to take a step back and ride this out. Because originally we were just going to cancel our Hickory race and still try to do our Orange County race. Well, then our governor did the 100 people for 30 days. He couldn't have any events with over 100 people. Well, right there, we have more than 100 people in the pit.
For sure.
So from our perspective, we had to cancel that early April race, but we didn't cancel our next race, which would be in May. So hopefully, thinking that this is going to blow over through April and that we can kind of get back to schedule in May and then look at maybe piecing these other races in that we missed. But yeah, it's a lot. I mean, from the marketing perspective, just what I do alone with posters, commercials, and social ads, that stuff is going on months ahead of time. We're preparing and doing those things 30, 60 days out. And of course, entries are, the money's received, things like that is already in progress. So it's a lot for a series to decide to cancel an event or postpone an event or, whatever you want to call it. Just hoping that they can get those races in, or essentially, I guess, they have to do a refund on some situations. I'm not even sure that's Chris Regal's job to figure that out.
Well, and that's what I was, going to ask you as well. I mean, it's so tough from a series standpoint. NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, obviously they're going to be okay. We hope, but it's just so hard when you have a series, especially. Man, talk about a momentum killer. And again, the big picture is, everybody needs to be well, but so much momentum from the Cars Tour, and for this to happen, it's just kind of talk about a handbrake. It's a big, tough one.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I will say the positive though was that we did get our season opener in at Southern National.
Yeah.
So at least we've kicked off the season, and I feel like that race was really good. I mean, we had 3-4 wide racing on late model stocks. We had good battles happening on the super side. So a lot of our fans are disappointed, but yet looking forward to what's to come, because we did have such a great season opener. And it's just, hopefully, I think once this all passes over, the clouds kind of clear, I think everybody's just going to be really enthusiastic on getting back to the track. And maybe we're going to see some guys that come out of the woodwork. They had time to work on their cars. They, they've been locked up for all this time that you don't normally see. So I'm hoping that when we do get back, it ends up being, a little bit bigger than even our season opener.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. That's a great point.
So Jacqueline, just in your mind, what's the state of North Carolina in? And I know you talked about the governor trying to do is no 100-person rule is. Obviously, we get to catch up on the Texas stuff. All you ever hear about on the news is the New York and the California stuff with this COVID-19 virus. But what's the state of North Carolina? I got family that lives out there and hadn't been able to get in touch with some of them. But what's the overall status of North Carolina as they try to fight this virus like everybody else?
Yeah, I think North Carolina was one of the states that kind of reacted a little bit quicker than the others with the smaller amount of cases. So yeah, there's a very large amount of cases in New York, in California. New York, they say that the reason why they have so many cases is because they were able to do more testing quicker. Yeah. Who knows? I mean, that's definitely a state where a lot of people fly into. It's kind of like a hub for international travel. In North Carolina, I think they just reacted really quickly. If you were to take to Twitter, I don't think you'd find a lot of positive people on what the governor chose to do. However, he has to be the one to make those hard decisions, and you're not going to make everybody happy. But yeah, like I said, they were really like a week ahead of time shutting everything down. And even my parents, they're based out of the Fort Worth area for their business. They were kind of like, what do you mean? What's going on? And I was telling them about how my work was moving me remotely, because I was in an office space, and my brother, obviously, who it says that he joined us. So hi, Blake, if you're listening.
I saw that.
His work reacted very quickly with him not working in the shop, as well as, my sister-in-law not working. So I don't know. I don't know if that really helped us in terms of not getting sick, but they really did try to lock it down as quickly as possible. So I guess we'll see in the end of all this what happens. But people are social distancing for sure. Do you guys have X's on your stores? Like in Target, they have X's where you're supposed to stand in line. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, it's so weird here. I actually hit the old HEB today. And they have they have signs there that say 6 feet back, and they have it all marked. And I've kind of got poop for brains sometimes. I was like standing right behind somebody, and she turned around and looked at me like I did something wrong, which I guess I did. But it is what it is. But so enough of that. Obviously, we know that we're in a crisis, and we're going to get through it, and we're going to be fine. But I want to ask you about something that I've kind of been following along there. Let's talk about this rivalry. Let's talk about this Stephen Nasse, Bubba Pollard thing. I mean,
oh boy,
these guys, they're talking about it, and man, whenever we get through this, I got a feeling that it's going to get good.
Yeah, did you see what I tweeted today? I actually tweeted about the rivalry.
I did see that. That's why I made a point to be sure to ask you about that tonight.
Yeah, so honestly, Bubba Pollard and Stephen Nasse, for anybody who's listening, they're pretty well-known names in the short track world of super late models, and both of them are very talented, and they are through and through.
Yep.
They're actually, I've talked about this on my Field Off podcast, but they're actually cut from very similar cloths in a sense of they're very passionate, they're very driven, they're not afraid to make the moves when they need to get the win. So when they butt heads, it's entertaining because they're very similar.
Yeah.
So they're butting heads for the same reason of they both want to win. And you don't always see that in racing. You may see somebody that wants to win, and then somebody that, like a Kyle Busch that, he's really aggressive.
Yeah.
You don't always see two aggressive drivers kind of going at it. The thing I commented on today with Twitter, Stephen Nasse was talking about, I believe they're at New Smyrna for Speed Weeks, and he was talking about how Bubba Pollard essentially, turned him or tried to move him or whatever the case may be when they were running in the back.
Yeah.
This was after they already had an altercation earlier in the race when they were towards the front. So, Stephen Nasse, nasty, classy, nasty, whatever you want to call him. He's not afraid to mouth off. So, he does these very Kyle Busch type interviews where he says whatever he wants to say, and that's fine. That's his personality. And, he's saying, I'm not afraid to say this to his face. He's the biggest crybaby there ever was. And, meanwhile, Bubba Pollard's like, okay. So the rivalry between them, we actually had them at Southern National. They both were in our super race, and nothing happened at Southern National. Not the track for it to really happen at. People kind of ride around.
Yep.
They don't want to burn up their tires. But I was really looking forward to this Hickory race because at Hickory is usually when we see them collide, and we've seen it in the past. So, Stephen Nasse's talked about racing our races more often. Obviously, Bubba Pollard, you see him pretty often come and race. And the one thing on the Cars Tour we've been doing that is raising their eyebrow is they can come and race for $10,000 at any of our races because they're in that championship Rowdy Manufacturing Challenge. So I'm excited. I really think we're going to see a lot come from this. In summary, I kind of blabbed on about it, but they're just such passionate racers. So I love, Speed 51 puts out really good commercials driving that rivalry.
Right.
And it always gets me laughing at what they got to say about each other.
Absolutely. No doubt.
All right, Jacqueline, we'll put you on the spot. Who's the most underrated super late model racer in the country right now? That somebody that you've seen and that you've been around that you think's really good, but they just don't get the pub for it. Who's the most underrated super late model racer in the country right now?
Oh my gosh. That is so hard.
Hard hitting questions right there. That's Bobby right there. He's got it together.
Oh man. I'm just gonna have to go for an easy one because I mean there's so many good super late model drivers that are underrated. But actually I did a sit down interview just a few days ago with this driver. So I'm gonna say him, but I'm not gonna discount anybody else.
Yeah.
So
No doubt.
but
I did just put you on the spot.
He's like, everybody else you hate, choose one right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, I think that Travis Braden is really underrated. So I did an interview with him that this interview is going to be coming out in the next few days on Cars Tour. But the reason I say that is because he won the Snowball Derby actually this past year. And I got to understand the backstory of how he got to that opportunity. And not a lot of times do we have drivers who get to an opportunity and then capitalize on it. And he did. He was there at the end. He finished second. Obviously, there's the drama again with Nasty getting disqualified, and he ended up winning the Derby. But he had to be there at the end to finish second. He's super driven. I think a lot of times I probably end up liking drivers based off of their personality in a way of how bad they want it, not necessarily how much money they have or their equipment that they're in. I really like to get to know racers for what they're doing behind the scenes and their passion for the sport. He definitely has the passion for it. So I think he's underrated. And I'm excited to see kind of where he goes. He wins, okay? He does win, so he's not like he's never won a super race before. Yeah. But as far as people saying, hey, he's the guy who's going to end up in the victory, lane at the end of this, I don't think people really go for him.
Yeah, and that's a great point. We actually had him on, I think, the week after the Snowball Derby, and just to listen to him. And what I really like about him, Jacqueline, is he is you follow him on social media, and him and his lady there. I mean, they are super cool ass people. they're good people, and it's hard to not root. It's hard to not root for people like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, I'm so excited to release this episode because I went and visited them in Concord.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, his girlfriend Jess is living with him. She moved from her home state to come down here, and they're really chasing the racer's dream.
Yeah.
They're doing it kind of like the Chase Briscoe way. They don't have a lot of funding. They're just down here doing the best they can in the trenches, trying to find opportunities, trying to get sponsorships. And there's something to be said for that. A lot of times we have these young drivers who, and no offense to any of them, like I wish, we all had that opportunity, but a lot of times we have these young drivers who come with a lot of money backing them. Their parents have a lot of money, or, they get in line with a really great opportunity with a sponsor. And so they're just swiftly moving through the ranks. And I like to see, these 20-year-olds in late model racing, kicking butt, taking names, doing their time, and building their fan base. I really like that. And I think it makes them more mature in their racing career down the line, too.
Absolutely. No doubt. Well said.
So, Jacqueline, follow up with Travis Braden. So, in your mind, does the fact that he went up to ARCA, won a couple of races, and finished in the top half of their championship, the fact that he's back down in a super late model, did that help level him out some? Not that he was a bad guy before, but it seems like sometimes the guys come back down, if you will. Not that necessarily running super late models is a step backwards, but is that a way where we've seen him kind of take advantage of the opportunity they're given the second time around to really appreciate and drive, not so much with a chip on their shoulder, but more along the lines of just driving with a renewed passion?
Yes, and I would say yes to your question. I truly believe, and maybe I'm looking through this through rose-colored glasses, but I truly believe that late model racing, whether it be pro, stock, super, that level of racing, I think is going to be down the road, years to come, our new cup. Like I see it as popular or more popular because of the amount of positive feedback that we get from short track racing. People go nuts whenever Cup is doing short track racing. Whenever I'm at a Hickory race, these fans, their reactions, they're leaving that race telling all of their friends and family what they did. They had a great time. They're meeting these drivers. It's just more authentic. So I just see the popularity of late model racing getting, bigger and bigger as time goes on. And I think some of these drivers, and I've heard this several times from them, they're like, I love racing late models because it's fun. It's challenging. I have a great time. Not to, pump up the Cars Tour, but they're like, the Cars Tour is a great series to work for.
Yep.
We're competitive, but at the end of the day, we're still respectful. Not all the time, but the racing at that level is just so rich. And so I see actually a lot of ARCA drivers. They go race a year ARCA and they're like, I'm bored. I am bored. I can go spend the same amount of money in late model racing and, continue to work on my skill set. And then I'm going to go truck racing, or I'm going to jump in an Xfinity car, because they enjoy those types of racing. Yeah. And you'll see in ARCA racing that a lot of times they have to hit each other to pass each other. That's not racing. That's hitting each other. I can go out there and hit whoever I want and, knock them out of the way and then move them, and it is what it is. So I think in late model racing, they're honing those skill sets. You definitely see a passion for it, kind of like what you're mentioning, Bobby, where they come back down to these lower levels. But I think you see that passion because they really love what they're doing. And it's just not the same as ARCA racing. It's not as, I hate to say like suit and tie, but they can come back and be their authentic self down to their roots. And I feel like they get more out of it. And it's essentially the same price. So, I think that in some cases, like winning the Derby is a huge accomplishment. Like going out and winning the Derby or competing in the Derby is a bigger deal than going out and racing some of these ARCA races. To have that on your resume, I think shines brighter. And again, I hope I'm not looking through this with the wrong colored glasses, but that's just my opinion.
No, I think you're totally spot on. I mean, because the yearning for everyone is the short track feel, the short track action. And I mean, I really do think that with what happens with short track racing, that's kind of what people want when they start talking about, back in the day and way back when. It is what we get on the short tracks, and I think you're spot on with that. I mean, I really do think that could be the big deal moving forward.
Yeah, and I think.
I think we lost her. We'll hit her back up here in just a second. Try to get her dialed back in. She was there, so we'll figure that. Great insight right there. I love what she's talking about right there, because that really is the thing where, I mean, that is what we want.
Hi, this is Jacqueline. Leave a message, and I'll get back to you.
That really is what we're all wanting right there.
She's trying to call you back. That's what that is.
She's trying to call us back. But that right there, that may have to be a soundbite, because I really like what she's saying. It is dead on with what she's talking about there. We're going to pick her right back up. There she is.
There she is.
that was such a dramatic statement you said there. Hell, the phone hung up.
I'm just too passionate, y'all. My phone can't handle it.
See the power you have. I got to tell you that. So we're talking about super late model racing being coming back to it being the thing of the future. Do you think it's going to be super late model racing or iRacing? Do you iRace? I figured you might iRace. I mean, I think you still have that competitive thing burning up at you somewhere.
I do not iRace. I went to PRI 2 years ago, and they had a little iRacing setup with just like a dirt sprint car.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and they had a competition where the fastest lap, like qualifying lap, and you would, I don't know, win like a Yeti cooler or something like that. I did, half a track lap and then wrecked it. So I'm just not good at iRacing. My brother can totally attest to this. He had a PlayStation our entire lives growing up, and I would get so mad at him because he would always beat me every single time. And, I've never been good at video games. So no, I don't iRace. I definitely think though, after what was broadcasted on Sunday with the iRacing event, I think we're going to see more of that. Even post Corona, I think we'll see some more of that broadcasted now that they've seen there's some interest for it. I don't, a lot of people are kind of like, oh, there's only interest because there's nothing else on TV and I'm bored. I don't think that's the case. I think people are generally interested to kind of see like, what is this next wave? And you see a lot of NASCAR drivers, participating in it, which is also interesting, right? Denny Hamlin won. Most people probably didn't know that he spends a lot of his time on a simulator.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's a whole nother angle to the sport, definitely.
Yeah, no doubt. It's good. I mean, it's good stuff it's what we have right now, so we'll take it.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's better than nothing, right?
So, Jacqueline, what was your take on it? Did you watch it? I mean, Rodney and I were talking about it with Ryan Luja on Monday's show that, for what they had with the amount of time they had to work with it, I think it was like 4 days. They actually did a pretty damn good job. It was very entertaining all the way around. Yeah,
they do a really good job. And I think most people don't realize that iRacing's been around for such a long time. And in the last, several 3 to 5 years, they've made a big push into scanning more tracks, doing more local short tracks, getting the analytics right. Those simulators they change based off of if it's cloudy or completely sunny.
Yeah.
I mean, it's extremely technical. So I watched some of it. The one thing that bothers me is they need to get their crash graphics better.
Yeah.
That's all. Okay.
Yeah. That kind of sucked.
But
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, we're crashed and it looks perfectly fine. But yeah, it's different, right? It's different. I like real racing better, obviously. I think we could all probably put our hands in and agree to that. But I'm glad that they did it, and I think it was a great unveiling and promotion for iRacing, and a great testament for all the work that they've done over the years. They've made a lot of improvements.
Yeah, they certainly have. But yeah, I totally agree. Like when there's a wreck and like a car would drive through one, I'm like, that would kind of bring you back into reality right there. It's like, oh, okay, I'm forgetting here that this is simulated. So yeah, if they can figure that out, I think that would be good. So Jacqueline Drake with us on the Revved Up Sports Show hotline. As we said, one of our most popular folks that comes on here. Speaking of coming on here, so what are you doing now? Obviously, you've got the marketing stuff is sealed off. Are you and Hannah on hold, or what's happening with all of that for you when it comes to doing stuff like this?
Yeah, so Sealed Off was doing great. We were in our second season. We had 2 episodes in, and then actually 3 episodes in, something like that. And then MRN completely closed their studios because obviously #Corona.
Show. Yep.
So we haven't put out any new episodes any further. So the last one was last week. And then obviously with the Cars Tour stuff, I've been on hold, just waiting until, something's decided as far as the races that were canceled or what we're going to do moving forward. And then my full-time gig got me remote. So I have been at home, walking in circles, things like that. And just, YouTubing a lot, it seems like, and doing some work and just trying to entertain myself. I actually wanted to go to Texas and see my family because I normally don't get this once racing season starts. I don't normally come and see them, but my mom told me not to, so I'm here in North Carolina.
Man.
Yeah. What about you guys? What are y'all doing? Obviously social distancing. But are y'all at home? Are y'all homebound, or what do you got going on there?
Because Bobby,
I've been stuck. I've been telecommuting for about 2 weeks now. I've had to adjust twice. For once, I was in for the first part of the week. my wife was on spring break, and I was in the front office. And now that she's back, she's been doing a bunch of conference calls and kicked me into the corner of the man cave, which you'll be able to see the little cave that I'm stuck in the corner doing working by day and doing the show by night. So get to telecommute till I'm told not to. So I guess that's a good thing. It could always be worse.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's and mine, so much of my time I spend at home. I'm a realtor, so a lot of my time I'm working from the house. But it's never been Jacqueline, where I'm like, eh, before all of this started, I was perfectly content working here. But nowadays, I'm like, man, I got to get out of here. So I'm
I know.
walking dogs, and I'm an avid indoor cyclist, and hell, I can't go do that. So it's like, man, it's weird. So I think, how do you think we're going to come out of this totally different, don't you think, by the time we get all this figured out?
Yeah, I totally agree. I actually read something the other day, and I'm like, gosh, this is completely accurate with what's going on right now. With the corona, it's like everybody's kind of starting to see that there's a little bit more that we're not seeing out of this. Like, yeah, it is a really tragic time, but basically it said corona has proved that everything around is temporary. Things our lives revolved around, work, gym, malls, movies, and society, have all gone for a toss as we learn to live without them. It has taught us that in the end, it's your own home and family that keeps you safe.
Yep.
And I truly believe that. I mean, I was even thinking to myself today, I'm like, gosh, so much of our lives is revolved around other things that really don't matter in the grand scheme of it. So I think we're going to see a lot of people kind of come out of this as a stronger family unit, and then realize what they need to do to change in their normal lives when we all get back to work and making money and racing. It's like, I think they're going to see, hey, I need to take more time at home to continue this bonding experience that it's going on, and then kind of see, the reality, because I don't think we see that. Like, we get in racing season and we are full speed ahead.
Yeah, we forget.
It's just trying to get to the next race, get to the next, practice, whatever it may be. And it's like, gosh, to be paused, the whole world completely paused, is just amazing to even think that that's happening. So I'm excited for post-corona, and I hope that people are more appreciative of, regular life when this is all said and done. That's my wisdom for the day.
Oh, that's beautiful, right? Is the phone going to hang up again? I mean, every time you drop something really nice and heavy, we lose you. That's awesome. I love that.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. I figured it was us.
You hung up on me. You're like, I'm done with her.
I know. I forget this. No, it's usually the other way around, Jacqueline. They hang up on me. Anyway, but that's another story.
Oh, savage.
Nice. Go ahead, Bobby. I'm sorry.
I didn't forgot where we are. She's blown us away with all the smart talk that, kind of like, it's like, what were we talking about before?
I did want to ask, Jacqueline. So what came out today, and we actually had speculated this on our Monday show. So you're going to have a doubleheader with Xfinity and IndyCar at Indianapolis coming up on July, and then in July, then of course the Brickyard. What do you think about that? I think we're going to have a big meetup in Indianapolis.
Seriously, I've never been to. I've been to Indy once, and it was just like completely empty. And I was in the area, and I swung by the track. But
that's when I went.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, you're just like, hey, I'm over here. Let me just go in here. And the security guys are like looking at you all weird, like, what are you doing?
I know.
But you're like, I just want to take a photo, please. I think that's amazing. I really do want to go. If it doesn't fall on something that we got going on, I need to figure out how to get there, and that's okay. There we go. Positivity, Rodney, about what's coming out of this post-corona. We're going to see a lot of that. That's, never happened before. And I also wonder, because we're essentially going to see a condensed down NASCAR schedule.
Yeah.
So I wonder, going into 2021, depending on how the rest of this year irons out, I wonder if NASCAR is going to look at that and be like, we could accomplish this in less time than we did before.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if we're going to see a schedule shift. I mean, what if they have such a huge, successful Indy with the Xfinity, what if they decide from now on, hey, I want to couple that together?
Yeah.
I mean, we might see that. We might see that happen because they're going to see differences for the first time in years.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to see a difference in ticket sales, putting things in different seasons.
Yeah.
We're probably going to see some other back-to-back going on where teams are going to go to one race and then turn around maybe in that same week and go somewhere else. Like we might see in a Atlanta and Charlotte back-to-back. I could totally envision that. Why not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm excited to see kind of what they do here. But yes, you guys drive to Indy and I'll just meet you there. I'll fly.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. We'd probably have to
That's
leave.
far from Texas.
We'd probably have to leave about 2 weeks early because anyway. But yeah, we'll work on that.
There's a lot of places to stop between now and then.
Yeah. We need to make it a road trip to remember, right?
Well, and the thing is, anytime
we have one of those in December every year.
And what Bobby and I are finding out, the older we get, we take these road trips, and as you get older, you have to stop and potty, every now and then, a little more often.
Oh boy.
So that's a bad part, but that's TMI. But anyway.
That's so funny because it just reminded me of a story. I don't know if we have time for this.
Oh yeah,
but,
sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So it's so funny because growing up, when my dad was sprint car racing, we'd be on these really long road trips trying to get somewhere. And if they didn't want to stop, obviously not for the ladies,
oh, here we go.
but for the boys, if they didn't want to stop, it's like, hurry up and finish your drink because I need to pee. And it's like, what is happening? I have seen that, not physically seen it, but I have been requested countless times. And not even just with my family, it's happened, several race teams can probably attest to this, but they're like, I don't want to stop. I'm on a mission to get there. I'm not, lifting my right foot off the gas. So
lost time.
I just need an empty bottle.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, that's, yeah. See, I knew I liked you. You've been through all these real life things. I mean, that's a good thing. That is a totally good thing.
It's true. I mean, it happens more than you think.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Jacqueline, what's a good doubleheader in your mind? Do you like the idea of running the Indy cars and the Xfinity cars on the road course, or would you like to see, say, like Rodney and I talk about, not so much the double at, say, Darlington, but we talked about on the show on Monday, if you got to reschedule the Indy 500, Labor Day is the perfect time because you could have Indy in the days, it's Sunday afternoon, and then you could have the move Darlington down a little bit and have Darlington run underneath the lights.
Yeah, the only struggle with that is that Darlington race is just such a historic weekend. Mm-hmm. People really take the time to camp out because of where on the calendar, and that's a big deal for Darlington Raceway. I think we're going to see some tracks who don't want to budge on some of those dates because of reasons like that. In my mind, I love to see different series coincide with each other because from a fan's perspective, if they're going to buy a ticket to go to the races, I would feel like it would entice them more to go buy a ticket. Let me go see these races. We got, the Xfinity this day, then we have Indy the next day. I feel like that is a bigger sell point in a lot of ways. So that kind of excites me just to see that different blend going on there. I'm a marketing person, so I'd love to see the metrics that are never released. But I like that. I mean, they're definitely going to get creative on what they're going to have to do. So we're going to see a lot of different, things that we probably didn't think of, or I don't think they're going to eliminate any tracks, but they might have to. I did see something though, speculating that, oh my gosh, such an old photo you just put up there.
You like that?
Oh wow, yeah, that's my late model. Man, you digging through my Facebook?
I know. Just wait.
The technical term is stalking.
I'm going to ask you a Twitter question here in a little bit. So anyway.
Okay.
The technical term is stalking. That's what you're looking for.
No, I mean I got it out there, so I guess it is what it is. I don't even know what I was saying. I don't know, but I think they're going to get creative. And oh yes, what I was going to say was Phoenix. I read somewhere where they were thinking that Phoenix may not be the finale anymore because of all this.
Yeah.
I mean, what a blow to Phoenix,
That
right?
sucks for them. Yeah.
If that happens, because everybody's been so thrilled. We had great racing from them earlier this year. I'm like, golly, I would hate to see that ripped from them.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's so excited. And then, again, from a marketing perspective, they probably have already started on all the items to do with the championship weekend.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And ironically, maybe it'll end up in Homestead again. Yeah. I don't know. It's you just never know. You just never know.
No.
And the curious thing is, I mean, are they able to get all this done? You know, maybe we get some midweek stuff. So something I did want to ask you, and this is, you know, I know Blake is so in the inside of all of this. Do you think that and we'll cut you loose here. I know we're going way taking up all of your evening here, but you know, we want to talk racing. So do you think that with everything that's supposed to happen in 2021, all the changes and everything, they've suspended some of the testing there, do you think that maybe some of the changes with the new car and all of that, do you think maybe that gets delayed and we still run the 2020 car for more than the Busch Clash?
I would love that. I don't know about you guys, but I am not a fan of the new car.
No.
Are you guys? I just don't like it. I mean, it will grow on me, but I don't know. And they've been testing that car for, oh gosh, I mean, I'd say at least 2 years now.
Long time.
Last year they did some testing. They've been doing testing this year. You might see a delay in that. It just, a lot of it kind of depends on the back end on whose all hands are in the cookie jar, so to speak. Because depending on who is involved in it is going to depend on if it gets pushed through or not. But that is a great question.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, nobody has said anything about that. And I'm curious to see. I mean, I would be good if we carry the current thing over for a little bit, but then again, I'm just a race fan, so what do I know?
I agree with you. I'm not a fan too of the one hub change that's supposed to be coming. I see why they want to make the change, but I don't know. That's probably my old schoolness coming out. My dad used to, when I was young, they would go to Texas Motor Speedway. This was before I was able to kind of go out there, and he would bring me back the lug nuts. And I was like, that's so cool. And I'd like put them on a necklace or something and like walk around school and be like, I'm really cool, guys. I have a lug nut around my neck.
I love that, on a necklace. That's awesome. That's why you grew up and your back's always hurting, because those lug nuts were, you know, dipping you down forward. Sorry, Bobby. Go ahead, man.
So, Jacqueline, what's your take about running the Busch Clash on the road course there at Daytona? Rodney and I were talking about it before. There's just something that just doesn't feel right about those stock cars running on the interior portion there at Daytona.
No, I don't think they should run on the road course. But in all reality, with the way the schedule is, I don't see why we have to do the Busch Clash. Why can't we eliminate that race? I mean, if we're worried about trying to get everything, you know, put together within time, it's like that's one of the ones that we should get rid of. But I think that again, this is me being way old school, but I don't think it should be on a road course.
I agree. I mean, if you're going to do anything, cut the laps down and let them run, you know, 25 laps, 30 laps on the oval and smash those things up, because that's seems to be what that race turns out to be every time. So anyway, I don't know, but I'm right there with you on that.
True.
Yeah. So quickly back to Car Store. Do you guys think, is there, I guess the crazy thing is we don't know. This thing is invisible. We don't know what's going to happen. Is there a plan? I mean, man, does this turn into a sprint season where would races try to be rescheduled, or would you guys just, you know, call it good and start up whenever you can?
So I think Chris Regal has slapped my hand multiple times, because I've asked him, I said, are we postponed, are we canceled, or are we rescheduled? Because all those words mean something totally different. And to be honest, I don't think they know what they're going to do yet. I think they're going to see how long this is going to last, because if we get into April and then they issue another, or they extend out our order and they issue another 30-day or something like that, well, that's a whole nother animal versus if it ends in April and then we can kind of resume and see where we are on the rest of the open weekends. Because on the Cars Tour side, you know, we are one of the first late model series that puts out their schedule before anybody else. And before we put out our schedule, we contact all the other series and we try to find out, hey, when are you having your race for this? Because we want the competitors to not have to choose between us and another series. And they try to be very mindful of it. So if there's not, you know, the Rattler's going to have to be made up.
Yeah.
There's some other huge races that are, you know, going to have to be rescheduled or moved further back. We're not going to want to put one of our races on a big race like that. Yeah. And there's only so many weekends when you think about it. And we also are mindful of the Charlotte race.
Yeah.
The Charlotte race that happens here with Cup, you know, we don't want to schedule a race because people go to that race from around here, the competitors, things like that. So I don't know. I'd love to give you the answer, but
well,
I'm not sure what we're going to do just yet.
We're not holding you to it. This is one where, you know, you can defer to Chris. That's his thing to mess with. But anyway, just curious. You just never know. You just never know.
Yeah. I am honestly so shocked you found that old photo. I love that. That made me smile.
Oh, good. Well,
your little collages happening here.
That's a good thing. Yeah. Well, you know, we're trying to spice things up a little bit. You know, it was funny. We try to get a little more technical with the show, and that's about the time that the world stops. So, anyway, we'll continue to try. And speaking of that, you know, we do these Monday or whenever we do them. If you want to talk racing, let us know, because a lot of folks have told Bobby we get tired of just hearing you guys all the time. So let us know. We'd love to have you on anytime.
Yeah, I love being on your show, and obviously I'm hoping maybe this year I can get back out to Houston Motorsports Park and keep working with them and supporting short track racing down in Texas. And I guess we'll see kind of where all that lands once this rest of the year kind of pans out here.
That's
no kidding.
When we get to the rest of it. So I got to ask you. I was talking about the Facebook picture and all of that there. So I saw something else, and I have to say I agree totally with this. And Bobby, I don't know if you saw this or not. Top 3 chips: Cheetos Puffs, Lay's Barbecue, and Nacho Cheese Doritos. Totally on board with you. That is picnic material right there. Don't even need a sandwich. That's all you need right there.
Yeah, somebody was talking about like tweet your top 3 chips, because they had the day before tweet like your last 5 jobs.
Oh yeah.
And so then I saw the top 3 chips, and I'm like, oh, this is easy. Cheetos is number 1, 100%. I like all types of Cheetos, but I didn't want all 3 to be Cheetos, you know?
Yeah.
So I had to switch it up.
No,
yeah,
that was
my
good. Brother
probably loves that. I don't know if he's still watching, but yeah. So this photo on here of my brother, that was actually at Darlington.
Yeah.
And it was the first race that we were at together. I was there with Roush Yates Engines doing PR work for them.
Yeah.
And so I told him, I was like, we have to get a photo together. And that I'm wearing my Ford white. That's what they call that, Ford white polo.
Nice.
And so he stood next to his car. And then I ended up going the year after, and we got another photo that's better, in my opinion. I wasn't as raw. I wasn't such a rookie. But yeah, I really love that.
Couldn't find another one. You'd have to send us that one so we could get that one up there.
Yeah.
That's what happens to us when we look at listen to old versions of the show.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. There's some. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say there's some old photos floating around of my late model too, because it was red whenever I raced it primarily at HMP. It was red and white, and then my last year, I believe, is when we changed it to blue and white. And Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That blue number 2, like it has this interesting type of color to it, and that was something that my dad always did. So all of our cars had that. It was kind of shimmery.
Yeah.
And my brothers and mine and my dad's, we all had that blue because the number 2 came from my dad. That's our family team. He has a company called Second Opinion, and so he has like a big number 2, and we were all number 2s.
That's cool. That is cool. I love that. So,
yeah.
When are you going to race again?
Oh gosh. I would love to race again. I need a place to put my race car. My dad wants me to get the race car out of his shop so bad because he has these dirt midgets, and he's like, "This is in my way. Get it out of my shop."
Yeah.
But I don't have a place to put it. Nor can my Honda haul a trailer. Nor do I have a trailer. So. I'm going to need some assistance if I decide that's what I'm going to do.
That's the same problems I have. I've got race cars, but I don't have a way to get them anywhere, or same thing.
I know.
Nowhere to put them.
I'd have to take it to a team.
I know. I've brought my little dwarf car to my subdivision, and when I start it, they don't like all that noise. But that's another story.
Oh my gosh, a dwarf car. That's hilarious. I need to see some photos of that. That's so funny. They used to race those on dirt at Cowtown Speedway in Fort Worth.
Yeah.
And before I got into asphalt racing, when I was still doing dirt go-karts, my dad's like, "What's the next thing you want to do? You know, where's the next step?" And they raced these dwarf cars.
Yeah.
And, you know, they have the doors, just like legend cars with like no fenders. And I was like, "Dad, I want to race one of those." He's like, "Those POSs?" Yeah. I was like, "Yeah, they're so cool." And, you know, people will like flip over and stuff because, again, they have no fenders.
It happens.
So
it does happen.
Those are fun. I can't believe you have one.
They're extremely fast. I actually have 2, but only one of them is workable at the moment. It's a fun car. Maybe we'll drag that thing to Houston, and when they race, you can drive it. Because hell, I certainly can't.
Oh, okay.
Same problem. Still have to get it there. But yeah, we'll figure that part out. But
I got a truck. I'll make that happen.
You can throw it up here.
Yeah, there we go. Very nice. Very nice. So, are you? Texas is coming up. iRacing. That's all we're gonna have this weekend. You ready for that? You gonna be tuned in and good to go?
Yeah, I'm gonna tune in because Lord knows we don't got much going on here, and I'm curious to see how this one plays out. Who do you think's gonna win?
I don't know. You know, it's hard to say. Probably Denny Hamlin, I guess. He seems to be the best. He seems to be with that rig that he has. I mean, he seems to be the best. So I don't know. It'll be fun. I'm just glad that we have something live to watch that involves our sport.
Yeah, I think so too. Did you guys see that video on Twitter of the marble racing?
Yes, I did. I did see that.
Okay, that's entertaining.
Yeah. That was kind of like that thing when you go to the baseball game and like over here they have like the pluckers race or whatever, and it's all these chickens running, and you know at the end whichever the yellow one wins or whatever. So that's kind of what that felt like there. But that was cool.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Something.
I mean, I guess anything will entertain us at this point. So we're watching video games. So.
Yeah. No doubt. Sorry, Bobby. Go ahead. I didn't know if you had something else.
No, I'm good. But if you decide you want to take the dwarf for her to race, I got a truck, so we'll make it happen.
There you go. Yeah.
Now I just need to get my bro to come.
Yeah. He can set that thing up and just leave it. Set it up and leave it.
Yeah. Funny thing is when they canceled the Cup race before in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
They had flown there and landed, and then they canceled it, so the plane flew back here.
Yeah.
And he told me that it was canceled. I'm like, yes, you can come race our Hickory race.
Yeah.
And he's like, I've already thought about it. I don't think it's a good idea. And so I'm like, no, it's fine. We'll just convince Dad to bring, because my brother's late model is in Texas too. So like, we'll just convince Dad. He'll bring it up here. It'll be fine. He's like, no. And so I texted Dad. I'm like, hey, how quick can we get the car ready? He's like, how quick do you want it?
Oh.
I'm like, we got racing happening next weekend. And so we were kind of going back and forth about it, but not really committing.
Yeah.
And then that's when the governor said no events. So I'm like, oh, well, at least we didn't make our dad come 17 hours away
boy, that would suck.
for the governor to cancel this race.
So are y'all's cars, I mean, are they race ready? I mean, do you have to modify? Are they like 2020 ready, or do you have to change a bunch of stuff, or are you good to go?
Okay, so my car hasn't been raced in, let's see, we're in 2020, so 9 years. My brother's car was raced, I think 5 years ago, because he used to race it at Colorado.
Yeah.
Is it Colorado National Speedway?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
He used to race it out there. So but both of them are fairly race ready. It's just needing to go through them and, probably just refreshing everything.
Sure. Yeah.
They're going to need like new fuel cells and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're both like in really great shape, and I'm like, why not? You just let's make it happen. At that point there was no logic. It was just us trying to make it happen on his one
just
off
do
weekend.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's awesome. I'd love to see
Yeah.
that. I think that'd be fun. I think that would be a lot of fun. Man.
Yeah, that's the one thing I've yet to do. I've yet to race against my brother.
Really?
So, yes, I've raced against my dad, but I've yet to race against my brother, and I'd love to do that. I think we would be a good team.
Yeah.
So,
I
maybe
think
one day.
Yeah, to be even cooler at HMP. I'd love to see that. Got to work on that. Got to work on that. This has been fun. This has been a hell of a good way to spend Thursday evening, talking racing and outside the box, inside the box, everything. This has been fun, Jacqueline. Thank you for saying yes.
Oh yeah. Anytime, Rodney, and thanks Bobby too for having me on. Always love coming on y'all's show. So
yeah.
Anytime you need somebody to just chat with, I'm here.
Yeah. Absolutely. We'll take you up on that because, we've got some stuff in the pipeline, but at this point it's good to just sit around and talk racing, talk real racing. That's what it's all about. So, we'll definitely take you up on that.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it, and hope you guys don't go too crazy being cooped up, quarantined. But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get used to it after a while.
Yeah. Yep. Going to be all right.
Bobby's like, I'm in the corner. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Everything's great.
Yeah.
That's when you appreciate your pets. So. Anyway,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's all good.
Until your dog gets tired of seeing you,
Yeah.
then you're like, oh no.
Exactly. That's when you know you're in trouble. But hopefully,
Yep.
hopefully everything's back on track soon, and let's work on that July thing. Who knows? Maybe we'll take that trek. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be really great. So, but thanks again for you guys having me, and we'll talk soon. Maybe before we get kicked back off on the Cars tour.
Yeah, for
It'll
sure.
be probably a good time.
Yeah, anytime. You got something you want to talk about, just holler. We'll do it right here.
Okay,
All right.
anytime.
Take care.
Thank you.
You bet.
Bye.
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 There she is. It's good stuff right there. That is real race talk, and that's just kind of Bobby like sitting around the fire, just kind of
Oh yeah.
BSing. Good stuff.
I mean, she has a good time when she's on with us. So
Yeah. Super good stuff. Really enjoyed that a lot, and I think that's kind of maybe the stuff that we should do. Moving forward is just pick some random dates and just have some fun talk, because that's like we were saying there. That's about all we got to do.
yeah, well, we'll see what next Monday holds for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have working on some guests to jump back in here. We can do the history stuff, and we'll do some of the current day stuff as well. So I think it'll be a fun time. I think we're gonna be all right. It's going to be fine. Thank you, Jacqueline Drake, for jumping on the program tonight. Good stuff. Bobby down south. I'm up north. I think we're figuring this thing out. Social distancing.
We might just break the rules again. You never know.
Might have to on Monday. This we can sit 6 foot apart. We'll be okay. Thanks to all of you for being a part of it. RevvedUpSportsShow.com, HornFM.com. Catch all of the archives. We are back on Monday, or unless you see something different on Facebook. that's when we'll do this again. Remember, friends, be nice to someone. You never know what they're going through. You're going to feel better as well afterwards. Bobby, stay safe, brother.
I will try. Do my best.
Absolutely. Back next time around. This has been #Real Race Talk from Texas. It's Russ.